Martin Scorsese's 1995 crime classic Casino follows Sam Ace Rothstein and Nicky Santoro, played by Scorsese regulars Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci respectively. Sam and Nicky are sent by the Chicago outfit to Las Vegas to bring the mob home suitcases full of cash. Sam, as a gambling expert handicapper, is sent to oversee the day-to-day activities of the Tangiers casino, and Nicky is essentially sent as muscle, though his ambition eventually leads him to becoming the boss of Vegas. The characters and story are based on true-life events, with Ace being based on Frank "Lefty" Rosenthal, and Nicky being based on mobster Anthony Spilotro. Casino was released 5 years after Martin Scorsese's smash hit Goodfellas, considered by many to be the greatest mob film ever made. Goodfellas' younger brother is more ambitious, dealing with higher stakes. It's more extravagant, more indulgent, more wild, more profane, more violent. But is it a better film? I'll leave that for you to decide in the comments below. Some consider Casino to be an even more compelling picture than Goodfellas, greater in scope and made with greater ingenuity and creativity. Others feel it is overlong and pales in comparison to Goodfellas, an unsuccessful copycat attempt from Scorsese to replicate his success with his former film. Ace faces issues and troubles coming from all directions in the film. The outfit puts constant pressure on Vegas to bring home bags of cash. His partner in crime Nicky becomes more volatile and uncontrollable as the film goes on, and his wife Ginger constantly hooks up with her ex. And this is all in addition to the pressures of running a mobbed up casino. Ace is a meticulous individual, intelligent and precise, and he is surrounded by idiots, underlings without discipline and brainpower. One such moron is floor manager Don Ward, who fails to detect a slot machine scam. As Ace puts it, if he noticed the scam and didn't do anything about it, he was in on it, and if he didn't spot it, then he's too stupid to keep the job, so is fired on the spot. It turns out that Ward is the county commissioner's brother-in-law, who comes to the Tangiers to meet with Ace, asking him to reconsider his decision, even asking Ace if there is a job on the lower end of things that Ward can take on. Ace stands by his decision, leading the commissioner to put his cards on the table and essentially threaten Ace by implying he can have the gaming control board take a closer look at his record and his connections to gangsters. The commissioner tells Ace people like him are just visitors and he can send them back to where they came from. The two part respectively, but there is an atmosphere of unease and foreboding in the air. Before this, just after Ace is informed the commissioner is here to see him, there is a curious moment where Ace gets up off his desk and it becomes apparent he isn't wearing trousers, or pants for American viewers. He gets up, rocking these really long socks, goes to his cupboard and pulls out a set of pants for his meeting. It's a pretty weird moment. It kind of throws you, but before you can think about it, the focus of the scene moves to the commissioner's request. So what exactly is going on here? Did Ace have explosive diarrhea and was playing it safe? Was he trying to start a Zoom call trend? When I first watched Casino, there were a few thoughts in my head about this scene. The first was that, not to be crude, but perhaps he was having a fun time of it before the phone call. Maybe just out of shot a girl crawled away out from underneath the desk, but that doesn't really work. Getting his weasel greased aside, a thought that I always had was that the scene was trying to represent how comfortable Ace had gotten in his role as a casino manager. In essence, he had lost his way, bought his own hype. The reality is that he was managing a casino to make the mob money, to make sure they were making a steady buck. He wasn't a legitimate casino owner. He hadn't come up the ranks or done the training, but he had started to kid himself, and like Nicky, his ego ballooned, and he considered himself some high and mighty, legitimate, orthodox runner of casinos and hotels who was so pompous and full of himself that he didn't even wear trousers unless he absolutely had to. He'd lost his edge, gotten too comfortable, forgotten he was an associate of a mob family, and this scene is perfect symbolism of that. Even if Ward was part of the scam, isn't what Ace doing in Vegas itself a scam? He must have felt pretty good about himself being able to turn down the commissioner, but this is where most of Ace's problems in the film start, where the whole gaming license thing gets noticed, he has to start doing TV shows to be near the casinos, that attracts attention back home, which gets Nicky vexed, etc, etc. All he had to do was give the guy his job back, or even shove him in some corner where he can't do any damage, but his ego and pride wouldn't let him, and perhaps in his own mind he'd forgotten he was a gangster and not a legitimate casino manager. With this being one of Ace's biggest blunders, I guess you could say he was caught with his pants down. Literally. Casino has a lot of religious symbolism, and with Scorsese being a Catholic, he'd recognise pride as one of the 7 deadly sins, and pride is something the film deals with heavily. Sam may kid himself into thinking he doesn't let Ward back into the casino out of principle, but really it's his pride. Then you have the pride of the county commissioner, who no doubt would be stung by having to go home and tell his brother-in-law he couldn't get his old job back, which fuels his actions when he talks to the cops about Ace's gaming license. Sam is hardly the character at most fault for the downfall of the Vegas mob in the film, but who knows how different things could have turned out if he had just swallowed his pride on this occasion. There was already so much corruption going on with the skimming of the casino. Would it really kill Sam just to let Ward back in and make a friend out of the county commissioner? The sheer hypocrisy of wanting his operations to be clean when it was corruption that landed Ace his role in the first place. And for a man who is so comfortable in his office, so used to being in his work clothes, so to speak, this scene suggests Ace spends a lot of time at the Tangiers and has little life outside of the casino. In other words, he's not spending enough time at home with his wife, and of course, we all know the problems Ginger causes in the film, partly because Ace is hardly at home. But the real reason is actually far more simple. Ace simply didn't want to get his pants creased. It highlights the meticulous nature of the character, but apparently was something quite common back in the day. It's thought that the real Frank Rosenthal wouldn't wear his pants in his office if he was seated, because when he'd get up, he'd get a crease. So he'd get his secretary to get visitors to wait while he put on his pants before meetings. John Dunn, who was part of the film's costume department, is quoted as saying, "Behind the scenes, there were a lot of things that we would just laugh about and think, they're not going to believe this when they see it. Ace is now not going to have his pants on in the scene. It's a serious scene. It just sort of creates a whole sort of tension and comedy simultaneously that's often part of a Scorsese film. It was meant to demonstrate the type of mind Ace had. As disturbed as it was also brilliant and obsessive. That whole concept is when things get tough and he's under stress, he actually gets more orderly and concerned about his appearance." Martin Scorsese has also addressed this scene in a commentary track, saying,
"The color of the film was very important, and the widescreen was very important. The costumes were very important. Rita Ryak did the costumes. De Niro's character, Rothstein, is based on Frank Lefty Rosenthal, whose actual wardrobe was even more extreme than what we showed. Much more. Always within suits and ties, always within, but still it was very extreme. But one of my favorites is the scene in his office where he has his pants in the closet because you don't want to ruin the crease. And why not? I understand. He has to give a certain image to people. When they come, if there's a meeting, then you can go up and put the pants on, sit properly without ruining the crease here right now, my pants, and have a meeting.
You know, it's interesting what Scorsese said about the colour, because the county commissioner's jacket is almost the same brown colour as the walls of the room, whereas Ace's suit is flamboyant and goes against the desk and walls. It links via colour to what the county commissioner said about, "You're all just our guests." He literally fits in with the environment, whereas Ace sticks out like a sore thumb. So there you have it. As it turns out, Ace's weird moment where he has no pants on is simply because the character wants to present himself as properly as possible. The scene is followed by the famous equal amount of blueberries in each muffin rant, another example of Ace's obsessive nature with order and detail, which further highlights why Nicky's cowboy style of doing things was so grating to him. So what did you think of Ace having no trousers on in this scene? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Before we finish, I'd just like to thank my patrons, Nicholas Curtis, Daniel P. and Countess von Zarovich, and also my channel members, Michael Awatwi, Rikers, Damien Irving, the new on Guam 24, Lan Deng, Joe Grossberg, and Cam Medina.